So let's go. Thanks a lot for joining us for this session, Scaling AI Beyond the Candy Shop. And I brought candy. You all had the candy in your bags. And when we started our AI journey at Syneos Health within our teams, we were doing a little bit like the candy. We were picking the little treats, and we were really excited what the team was bringing to us, the tools, the toys, the things that we could do. And we were convinced it's going to be super easy. Everyone's going to love it. You know, the teams will pick it up, and it's going to be a no-brainer to get everyone on board. And what happened was the treats got eaten, but there was no transformation happening. Nothing really changed that much. So we had to rethink the way we're doing things. And following a survey that Deloitte did, not only in pharma, but about, I think, 2,000 companies worldwide, where they are with their transition, and if they believe their pilots they're doing are actually transforming into something that's a part of the business. Only a third said the pilots are anywhere to something that's operational in the near future. Only a third. So we have a room full of healthcare experts, full of companies, vendors that sell tools, and still, it's a lot in the treats and toys section, and not very much in the section of actually being productive. And I wanted to ask you as a group, who did pilots in that? Who of you did pilots in your company and within your teams, within your departments on AI? Everyone? Probably no one did. No, none. That could be a pilot. I mean, good question or good comment. Pilots can start from people starting to toy at work with some of the standard tools, but they can go that far that you use agents, that you build processes around it and try and test drive them on some examples. So there are barriers there to get these pilots into something that's productive. And we looked a little bit deeper in what we could do to actually overcome these barriers for ourselves, but also working with our clients. And I'm handing over to you to see what this means for us to get to this next level.
Yes, so looking at the pharma industry today, and we've heard this a lot throughout the multiple sessions around what pharma is doing and the great strides that they've been making in the recent years. And that's definitely true. The industry as a whole in the last few years has made incredible strides, and I've just got an example of a few of those high-value use cases here. So they're using AI to assist in content creation and development, which is resulting in huge reductions of costs. It's estimated up to 50% reduction in costs in total. They're using AI to connect deeper with their audiences through more personalized messaging. There's a really good live example here from Novo Nordisk. Anyone from Novo Nordisk in the room? Okay, worth a shout. But so this is really great because what they did is they used AI to craft subject lines that would be closer to their HCP's preferences, and then examine that against their traditional methods of creating HCP emailers, and then found that there was a 24% higher open rate in the AI-powered one. And then also what we're seeing as well is the rise of a lot of chatbots. So chatbots just shows a really good movement for the pharma industry generally, because it's clear that the industry has moved away from using general use AI applications, and they're actually creating their own bespoke tools so they can answer domain-specific information. So Moderna is a great example of this. They've got 750 GPTs across the whole company, all fulfilling different needs and for specialist audiences within their team. So a lot of this is great, but I think you'll agree that we could be doing a lot better, and we could be doing this a lot faster. There are a few reasons for potential barriers to scaling, and a few of them have been spoken about today. one I think that might be relevant here really is the fact that the opportunity keeps growing for AI, which kind of means that pharma is always having to catch up. But we wanted to dive a bit deeper in terms of the barriers that are actually like facing you today. So before this session, we sent out a survey and we asked, what are the actual barriers that are facing you? And this is what we heard back. So we heard infrastructure readiness, data fragmentation, and lack of trust and explainability. So all of these are real problems, clearly problems that you're experiencing, and they're shared issues that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. But a lot of these are solvable. And I think crucially, what this shows is that the AI scaling gap isn't actually a technical issue at all, because you've all got access to the right tools, you know how to use them. The gap is structural, which makes us ask the question of how can we really bridge that gap and go from the candy shop environment where we're tasting and experimenting to something that's a lot more enduring and enterprise-wide across your companies.
Thank you very much. You can keep clicking if you don't mind. Thank you very much. So I think the situation the majority of us are in now is how do we get to this level of transformation? How do we scale really, really big, both with the people we have and then the technology that we need to apply. And in the majority of cases, technology is not the driver on its own. Very often, it's the human that drives the acceptance and use of technology. Do some of you know Carl Benz? Yes, wonderful. So, Carl Benz invented the first gasoline-driven car. That was a genius invention, but nobody picked it up because everybody was afraid of using it. So, thanks God, and thanks God again, his wife was a genius as well. So not only didn't she bring a lot of money to the marriage, but she also was the one who understood what it takes to accept this technology. And so she drove nearly 106 kilometers, the first long-distance ride with a gasoline-driven automobile, on her own, without her husband's knowledge. And this led to a situation where people saw, okay, if the wife of this genius person drives this car, she really trusts it. And then that was the beginning of the uptake of the car as we know today. So very often it's the human that's central. And for human, it's very essential to eat, and not only candies. We need to step away from this candy-only recipe or diet and go to a more fully flexed meal and recipe. And saying the same, the majority of convincing recipes are very, very simple. And we're getting to that in a second. So we identified for us that the rationality, the strategy, where does it matter? Where is it essential to set the focus? Is it on quick wins? Is it on big use? Then the commitment of the people, the commitment of the company. We heard a lot about the C-level endorsement, which is key, and thanks God we had it in our company as well. But also all the people involved in there. So that's talking about people centricity. I'm a medical. I'm one of the most critical people when it comes to the detail of data. So you know my colleagues, you're obviously annoyed of all of us when we're talking about the number of digits behind the comma when we're talking about p-values. But that's important in our business. It's important about regulations. It's important when we discuss with our experts. They want to know it and to give us some trust. So we need to know this. And then it's governance. Once again, highly regulated market, a lot of compliance and legal frameworks that we need to obey to, and that's key. So we need to embed this in our AI systems as well to guarantee that we can absolutely use them. And on the next slide, we're talking about a little bit about the recipes. Do we have any foodies in here? Yes, one, that's good. Do you know how many ingredients a classical Italian carbonara has? 4. Correct. Very wise. It's eggs, pasta, naturally. Then it's guanciale, cured ham, and pecorino cheese. Very simple, but a genius dish. And that's exactly why we have only 4 ingredients in our recipe here. So, first of all, we encourage you to identify the sweet spots. Where is it really adding value, not saving time? I'm talking about adding value to your company to focus on. One could be content acceleration. I think everybody's aware with the help of AI and smart AI systems, you can accelerate the creation easily. But the more complex one, at least in my scientific environment, is the insight generation. Once again, a question to you. Have any of you been to ESC Congress recently? Okay. Cardiology Congress, one of the biggest European congresses in this area. The number of publications that are published around ESC is around 500. If I would need to read all these 500 papers, come to a conclusion, and only spend 10 minutes and a very good memory, I would need more than 80 hours, 83 hours to digest this. With the help of AI, I can do this within half a day, refine the results, and come up with a very, very smart business strategic decision afterwards on how to adapt and what to apply. So the second ingredient is something that I mentioned already. The right kitchen crew is highly important. We, in the beginning, and this was a learning experience, I would say, not a failure, a learning experience, we thought, like, the AI people are brilliant. The concept is so obviously genius that everybody will love it. But of course, this didn't happen. Once again, the example of my teams, medical, scientific people, they're highly critical. First of all, they said accuracy, hallucination, all problems. Then they said, or didn't say it, but felt it, what about my job? Is it future-proof? What will happen to me if I save so much time? And it took us some time and some effort to tell them and educate them or bring this experience to life that freeing up dumb work from your table is brilliant, and you can focus on more strategic and more intelligent things. So don't leave it, no harm done here, but don't leave it to the AI experts. Bring in a sound understanding of change management, cultural change, behavioral science as well. Otherwise, it doesn't work. The third ingredient is, once again, people first. It's not important to have the candy testers creating your recipe. It's important that you have exactly this, what I mentioned before, address the fears, understand what the people are, why people are reluctant to use things. And in some parts of our organization, we still have these pockets of resistance because people are a little bit, I'm not sure, even the younger ones. The older ones are quite easy to convince, from my experience. The value needs to be demonstrated. Everybody, also on the C-level, needs to understand, okay, we're not doing this because we're tech-savvy and we're geeky. Not at all. We're saving money, we're adding value to our clients and our own company. And then you create a culture that is AI ready. And the last one, that's a must, is the quality control. Only if the results are so good that nobody can debate about them, then it's good enough to be used. Then we can use it and apply to all the legal and compliance issues. And with that, over to you.
Thanks a lot. So coming from the treats and the sweets to reality has been a journey for us, and as we see with our clients, it is a journey for them as well. I don't know how this matches your experience, but getting to a moment where the final recipes there is probably not a moment where you want to boil the ocean, where you put this whole new world onto people, but you take them onto a journey, both not letting AI people drive the transformation of the company, but at the same time also not let the business being stuck in their old habits of how processes are built and try to use AI to do the same old stuff they did before. So this joint re-engineering of how we do things is going to be critical, and that will alleviate a lot of the resistance and the fear and the worries, and remain control with the people, with our teams, that will then finally give everyone the trust to do that. Does that resonate with you? Does that match your experience that you have? I see a lot of nodding heads. Where would you say where you are in the journey, on the tasting level or on the transformation chef level?
I guess everyone's question is like everybody like tasting, but what is like what really works? You know, what is are you guys the chefs that can serve me like a 5-course dinner that makes sense to me? You see the point?
I think if you like what our role can be, or what our role sometimes, or with many clients is, what we've been taken is actually change management expertise that we fielded actually in totally different areas. There were large Viva rollouts, large internal transformation projects where we took the change management component. And if you take away that idea that AI is a different change than any other change, then it gets you to a point where you suddenly can apply tools that exist, tools in the sense of processes, ways to change an organization, ways to induce change in the teams, and that has been quite successful. Any further questions, remarks?
It's just a remark. So I'm going to be a bit disruptive, but for me, I'm having a bit of an AI fatigue. And I will explain, right? So for me, the art and science of transformation is to make actually this whole work transparent. Because the feeling I have from pharma companies that we see is that they are so much attracted by the shiny object in the room that is AI, which is a techie discussion. It's not a commercial. I'm commercial biased, right? So I want to sell, blockbusters, right? So I'm passionate about this. Yeah. But basically, this creates in the commercial operation settings, for me, a negative effect that marketing, sales, and medical become so much attracted by the techie conversation that we forget to actually use those tools to do the business like usual. So in my perfect world, this is transparent. So I just do medical, scientific affairs, commercial, marketing. I just have a faster tool, a faster engine that helps me get to my business goal. And that's what it's not a critique for you presentation. No. It's just like an industry critique in a way that we have so much AI conversation as a destination that we forget it's just a tool that helps us get to the business or to the scientific leadership that we should be.
Absolutely. And I think that's an experience we had when we deployed this in our own company. So in the beginning it was fancy, and everybody was blown away by the first steps then some years ago that are now ridiculous. But then we identified the real value and the added value, both for the quality of work, for the use of resources, but also the overall use of this. And nowadays, nobody would throw away the MacBook because it's devil's work. No, I'm using it constantly, and AI is similar to this piece of technology. It's everyday life, and if you think like, oh no, let's stay away, then you get in trouble. And
so to be precise, I'm saying the art and science of a perfect transformation from a business standpoint, where you can put an ROI saying either I'm doing more with less, right? So efficiency play, or I'm actually differentiating with innovation, which I'm basically having a faster time to market, a better scientific, What I'm trying to say is that depending on how you approach this topic, it takes away that strategic leadership conversation, and we become a little bit oriented into a technology type of conversation. That's what I feel. I'm not saying it's what you see. It's basically from my perspective, a lot of commercial leaders are so much excited about the machine learning and the technology piece that basically I feel that we have we are losing touch of what are the very much powerful impact of those tools sometimes.
I totally agree, and I think that was the point of rationality that we started off with. Start with the reason why we're doing this, and not just go for the shiny tools or the sweet candy, but have an idea of where this is going to go. I think we're out of time. Thank you very much for the time today.
Thank you.